Hi, and welcome to another episode of Culture Mavens. Rabbi Susan Nanus unfortunately can't join us today, but I've got some great stuff to tell you about. Let me start off by mentioning that at the end of the month, we're once again doing the Teicholz Holocaust film series at the Holocaust Museum, LA. It's going to be virtual again. This year's theme is the Holocaust in German films, which is really interesting, actually. Germany doesn't have films like, A Schindler's List or Garden of the Finzi-Continis that are sort of iconic, but we found some amazing films. One is called Naked Among Wolves, actually shot at Buchenwald, and it's based on a true story of some prisoners who protected and saved a child who they hid in the barracks in the last days of Buchenwald. Then there's another classic film called Jakob the Liar, which is based on Ulrich Becker's novel, is a great film. Our third film is Aimee and Jaguar, which is also based on a true story about a lesbian relationship in Berlin during the war. It's quite moving and quite interesting because it shows us an aspect of both Jewish life and Holocaust experience most people don't know about. All the films are incredibly great films, and we have some great panels with historians and experts. Now, on to what's been entertaining me. I wanted to start with a book that I just read and I found very entertaining, even more entertaining than I expected, which is the biography of Mike Nichols by Mark Harris. You may know Mike Nichols was the director of such films as The Graduate, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Angels in America, Heartburn, comedies, dramas, one of a perfect movie, The Birdcage, with Robin Williams, Christine Baranski, and Nathan Lane. Mike Nichols was a German Jewish refugee who came to the United States as a child, and his fantastic life is chronicled in these pages, and it's fascinating because so many of the people and so many of the movies that they talk about, including sort of the early career of Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford and others. So that's a great book that I highly recommend. Now, I have a guilty pleasure or soft spot for martial arts or, movies where people are kicking ass, basically. And sometimes that's exactly what I need to watch as a sort of mindless distraction. So there's a new one called Gunpowder Milkshake. And a Gunpowder Milkshake is basically a female-driven version of a John Wick film, which is to say that it's filled with great cameos. It's got Michelle Yeoh, Carla Gugino, Angela Bassett, and it's very stylized. Now, of interest is that the director is Israeli, Navot Papushado, and he has a knack for designing very colorful, almost like he's a still photographer. His scenes are incredibly beautifully composed, and I read an interview with him where he talked about how he created a specific meaning and color palette for the film. So it's beautiful to watch and fun to watch. One of the places where they're making more and better ones is South Korea. And there's a recent movie of the last few years called The Villainess. And I watched it, and The Villainess is a insane female-driven assassin, revenge, martial arts movie. And I will say that there is a sequence where there is a sword battle on motorcycle driving through a narrow walled gap that is insane. I don't know how they did it. There's some other incredible fighting sequences that are certainly, if you like that kind of thing, which I do, worth the price of admission. I recommend Gunpowder Milkshake and The Villainous. Again, they are mindless entertainment if you find those kind of movies entertaining. Now, Israel continues to produce great TV dramas, which we get to watch now because now every Israeli show gets picked up. Black Space is a show about a high school in Israel where there is a shooter situation and a policeman, a detective, in keeping with the genre, a damaged detective with personal issues who actually attended that high school and had a trauma while he was there, is the detective who shows up on the scene. And the detective becomes convinced that the way that the perpetrator escaped is because it's one of the students. And so through the rest of the show, he's got to find out which among the students committed the crime. And so we get to see some of the lives of the spoiled rich youth. And it's quite interesting on a sort of detective suspense way. Let's see, what else do I have to tell you about? Well, last week I spoke to you about the comedy Letterkenny, which is a Canadian comedy I'm completely addicted to. There are 9 seasons. I'm now in the middle of season 4. I try and limit myself to 1 episode a night just to enjoy it all the more. And it is the smartest show and the dumbest show at the same time, with the most brilliant wordplay among seeming Canadian hicks soccer players and meth heads. Now, the reason why I'm bringing it up again this week is because I received an email that told me that there's going to be a Letterkenny live tour, and it's going to come to LA March 31st and April 1st of 2022. So go to Letterkenny TV if you are crazed the fan as I am to see Letterkenny live on stage in Los Angeles. The next few weeks, we're going to all hopefully get a better control on the COVID virus. I encourage you, if you haven't been vaccinated or if your children who are over 12 have not been vaccinated, to please do so. It helps all of us. It helps our country. It helps our city. It helps our community. So please do. And I look forward to rejoining you with Rabbi Susan Nanus. I'm sure she'll have some great shows and movies and books to share with you and events at various places around the city and around the country and sometimes around the world. All right. Thank you. Bye. See you soon.